Hey guys, this is Attorney Walter, if not the third, with Disability Resolution PA. Let's get right to it. Specifically, when it comes to this video, we're going to be talking about food stamps first, then we're going to be going to the fourth stimulus details, then we're going to be going into the changes to the trust fund account. I know I've missed a bunch of phone calls already. I know that we should have people joining shortly. I have to check into, however, specifically, let's see, real quick, whether or not there was a issue with the audio station, which just kind of screwed up the whole live session. Give me 1 second to fix that. Let me go into this real quick. Let's see, videos about all. Okay, YouTube Studio. Either way, while I'm fixing this, I'll begin the process going through the rest of it as we go into the content here. Let me just go ahead and fix this real quick. And let's see what we got. Guys, I'm kind of new to this new system, so just give me 1 second. I think we have people joining right now. We don't have anybody joining, which means I have screwed it up. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this thing going. Let me click this one. Let me get rid of this one. We're going to delete that thingy forever. I agree. Delete forever. And we should be good now. We should be good. That's the only one. Oh, no, there's another one. There's another one. Boy, I messed this one up. Either way, no worries. All right, let's get right into it. Food assistance, CNBC. Specifically an article on the changes that are coming for food assistance, known to many people as SNAP benefits, known to many people as essentially those benefits that are used for basically their food. Okay, so we're going to be going into the details relative to that. I think some people are still having a hard time logging in, so I'm going to go ahead and delete all these other ones so that they are aware that they cannot log into these other things that are upcoming, and that way they are good to go. More actions and delete forever. All right, cool. Let's get right to it now and launch. Food assistance benefits are increasing. Here's what families need to know. Published Tuesday, August 17th, updated Wednesday, August 18th by Annie Nova, specifically by and through CNBC. Here we go. Key points. The average monthly SNAP benefit will increase by $36.24 per person per month starting in October. That's not much. Wondering if you're eligible or where you can spend the aid? Here we go. Let's go through it. All right, let's pop over here to the next thing. Okay, experts share details on the biggest changes to the program since its inception. Of course, this is the food stamps. The 42 million Americans who receive food assistance through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, will soon get a boost to their monthly benefits. That's due to a change approved by the Biden administration earlier this week, which was for the first time the purchasing power of the aid has improved since 1975, which is absolutely horrific when you think about it. All those people that have to use food stamps have not had major changes to the program since 1975. But that's not uncommon with federal programs like upgrading the Dictionary of Occupational Titles. It goes way, way, way back because they haven't updated or upgraded those things for a very, very long time. Let's keep going. That's due to a change, blah, blah. The new monthly benefit amount tries to account for some of the changes over those 45 years, including the rising cost of food and the way our understanding of what constitutes a nutritious diet has evolved. A study by the U.S. Department of Agriculture in June found that 9 out of 10 SNAP recipients struggled to eat, which is absolutely horrible. But, we can understand that because, let's call it like it is, they were only allowed certain foods, and the bottom line is that a lot of those foods that they were getting, they had to use some of those funds rather to go ahead and pay for rent. They, give their card away to be able to have a room, etc. All right, it will have a particularly positive impact on communities of color and for children. Of course, they always throw that in. They always throw in that communities of color. It's always thrown into these populations that are disproportionately impacted by food insecurity and poverty, said Josh Protas, Vice President of Mason, a Jewish response to hunger. I disagree. I think that there's many, many poor individuals. It doesn't matter what skin color you are. I think that it's honestly racist at this point for them to consider communities of color as the definitive de facto thing for the reason to do this stuff. Poverty has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It doesn't. It's, go to Africa, go to Australia, go all over the place. You have poor people everywhere of all different types of skin color. Let's go on to the next thing. When will the change take effect? Eligible families should see large benefits come October. So it's August, September, October. We're looking at around 2 months. How much will the benefits go up by? These are your food stamps if you're just joining us. Your food stamps, the average SNAP allowance will increase by $36.24 per person per month, or $1.19 per day, Protas said. Now, I want to point out here, guys, that $36 is not much. But when you are accustomed to living on something sub $150, sub $200 a month, specifically just with food stamps, and that's the only thing that you have, $36 makes a big difference. However, it's still obviously not enough. Food is ridiculously expensive now, and it's across the board. Whether you go to Walmart, whether you go to Publix, it's just across the board extremely expensive. And certain items have become extreme luxury items. Things like, certain types of fruit, certain types of meats. It's just sad because people can't really get into that anymore as an option. They have to stick with your usual rice, which will way up in price anyways, and bread, which is not good. Okay. For a family of 4 receiving the maximum benefit, they'll get $835 a month, up from $782. All right, you see what they did there? They said if there's a family out there, right, a family of 4 receiving 4 of these, they'll get $835 a month, up from $782 a month, trying to make it seem like it's a larger amount. But still, that's not a big bump. 782 up to 835, that's not that much. In a few places, the cap is higher. For example, Alaskan families may get up to $1,667 a month under the new rules PROTUS set. That's good. That sounds like, to me, a more fair amount for individuals that basically need to be able to buy food. Now, if you split that up into 4 individuals, you're looking at basically here. Let's do the math real quick and figure it out. So we get out our calculator real quick. Very good. There it is. So in Alaska, not that a lot of you guys are from there, but this is kind of what it should be. If we take 1,666 divided by 4 individuals, that means each person is receiving $416.75 of food stamps each month up in Alaska. However, if we go and look at basically most other states in continental USA, what we're going to be doing is we'll take 835, right? And we're going to divide that by 4. And that equals around $208 per person and 75 cents per person in the continental US for most individuals who will be receiving food stamps that are part of a family of 4, which is not much to buy food. All right. Do I qualify for the increase? The boost should reach most of the households that are currently SNAP eligible, PROTUS said. Is there anything I have to do to get the boost? You shouldn't have to. This increase should automatically convey to households that are already eligible. If you don't yet receive food stamps, but you think you may be eligible, the USDA has a state-by-state guide to applying for the aid. If accessing the internet is a problem, you can look up your state's SNAP phone number on the USDA's website. In many states, you can also dial 211 to apply. The money will be sent to you each month on an EBT card, which acts like a debit card. People typically get the money in less than 30 days, but those with little to no income could get their benefits within a week. So what are we learning from this? It's going to be automatic. Most people that are already eligible will be able to tap into it. It's not much of an increase, but it is a little bit of a help. And howdy, guys. Howdy, Garden. Howdy, RB. Howdy, Ella. Howdy, Wilder. How you doing? Okay, do the new rules impact SNAP eligibility? No, the same somewhat complicated requirements to qualify for the benefits will remain. SNAP has rules around how much you can own in assets and earn an income to get the aid, but certain expenses, including your rent and childcare costs, can be deducted. Okay, so there's a moving scale here based upon what sorts of things you have to pay for can be used to reduce the amount that they claim against you to limit how much you would get for food stamps. So you can deduct certain items. Where can I use my SNAP benefits? The USDA has an interactive map where you can search for retailers that accept SNAP benefits. Many farmers markets accept the card, and you can search for one near you on the USDA's website. In addition, a growing number of states now let you use the funds to order groceries online, which is awesome, especially considering COVID. Recipients are also eligible year-round for the Double Up Bucks program, which is available in 25 states and allows people to get twice the amount of fruits and vegetables for their money, which is awesome. I'll do another video specifically on that because a lot of people don't realize the benefit of utilizing something like that to get fruits and vegetables, which are now becoming a quasi-luxury. And then if you look at certain like blackberries and raspberries, they're almost an extreme luxury. Families still worried about being able to afford enough food can look for food banks in their neighborhood at feedingamerica.org. They can also call the Why Hunger hotline, 1-800-5HUNGRY, or text their zip code to 1-800-548-6472 to get connected to local emergency food providers and soup kitchens. All right, so that's the quick update specifically when it comes to food stamps. Are the federal rate for food stamps increasing? Yes. Is that good? Yes. Is it a heck of a lot? No. Is it a heck of a lot more for people in Alaska? Sure is. But it is what it is. Okay, next thing I want to cover. The fourth stimulus. I know I see a lot of videos coming out from different individuals about potential bills that are being output by, basically the main classic, the 4 or 5 Democrats that are kind of part of like the underclassmen group. They keep coming out with new bills essentially to increase your ability to get a check, to take care of rent, to take care of utilities, to take care of mortgages, to take care of, essentially, basically anything you could need. They keep coming out with ideas about guaranteed continuous monthly income, right? A sort of UBI, if you will. Although UBI was not their catchphrase, so they're using this whole guaranteed phrasing as their catchphrase for basically, those Democrats coming out with that. And it's Rashida Tlaib. It's all of the classic under freshmen. AOC, they're all coming out with their version of that. And then you'll see, of course, the Blinded Billionaires, the LA Lake, coming out with a video about like how it's coming. It's not coming. It's not coming. There's no bill that is getting from subcommittees to just committees. Let me explain how this works. What you have is essentially subcommittees, committees, basically the floor, the big vote, and then you have to go through each one of those for the other one. So you start at the House, you go to the Senate, you go to basically the White House where you have the president sign it. None of those bills are making it through the subcommittees. They're not coming up. Nothing's going on with it. The fourth stimulus at the federal level is not happening right now. However, it is extremely likely, as I explained in the video that just released before this, that we are going to see a fourth stimulus directly before Christmas. I went through in that prior video why that is, before the holiday season. But the main de facto thing is that President Biden obviously is not going to want people to go into the holiday season upset, without money, unable to afford a traditional happy holiday season. And for that reason, if they do go into that unhappy, it will affect the outcome of the 2022 elections, which are extremely important to Democrat control of the House and the Senate. Okay, so that's going to be the main thing that you'll be seeing. Right now, what you see are states stepping up and giving out monthly benefits, states stepping up and giving one-time check benefits. For example, thank you checks to police officers, sheriffs, thank you checks to medical personnel, etc. California is the big one coming out with these UBI platforms and stuff like that. I think it's tied to this whole recall thing, obviously, but it's going to be interesting to see if we see, somebody new becoming essentially the future governor of California. So that will be extremely interesting. Now, so here's the thing, guys. Let's go through kind of the basics here. The way this show works is I usually introduce the stuff behind me, go through stuff with the basic update on what's going on in the current system with the politics, etc. Afghanistan is all over the internet. It is horrible. I'm not going to go into detail about it because everybody's seeing it. It's constantly on the TV. What I am going to be doing is going to a topic that I don't want you guys to freak out about. When I go into this topic, I'm going to be releasing a bunch of videos on this over the weekend. I'm going to give you, howdy guys, howdy Rosa. I'm going to be giving you an introduction to those videos that will be coming out. And I don't want you to freak out, but I need you to understand that there is a problem with funding for the Social Security Administration. I just need you to understand that. There are two main trust funds. A lot of you guys made comments about how the trust funds work. I need you to understand specifically the way it works with how they use the money that you put into them by paying your taxes. There are two trust funds, Trust Fund 1 and Trust Fund 2. Trust Fund 1, the Retirement Trust Fund. Trust Fund 2, the Disability Insurance Trust Fund, are in dangerous financial condition. Extremely dangerous financial condition. The Social Security Administration is publishing on its website details about basically how the legislature, the House and the Senate and the President need to immediately step in to go ahead and pass legislation to fund these super trust funds. Remember, the Retirement Trust Fund and the Disability Insurance Trust Fund are becoming depleted at too fast of a level. So the problem is now, all right, let's just go through how they work, right? And then, yes, I see a bunch of people calling in. I got that. I'm gonna come back. I'm just going through the basics right now. Here's the thing, and that's an unknown call, by the way. I didn't put their phone number up. Here's the thing. When you pay your taxes, they vacuum out. Oh, that's a terrible word. They I don't know, whatever. They take a portion of your money, right? When you earn money, and put it to Social Security benefits. The kicker is this. They go into one of these two trust fund accounts. And then what they do is they create these special securities. And then they sell these special securities. A lot of people didn't realize this, that they actually use your Social Security, money that you paid in. They use it to make an investment, kind of like a security. And it is a security, a special bond. And then they sell it. And then as a year goes by, they basically recoup it, or they recoup it in less time, depending on what's going on. And in 2021, this was the first year where there wasn't enough money coming in to cover the amount of money that basically is needed for it. I want to say something that will scare you, and I want to say something that will hurt you a little bit on the inside, but I mean it with all the best intentions in mind. Howdy, Laura, from Puerto Rico. Howdy, howdy. You need to understand this. There were a lot of deaths in 2020. There were less deaths, obviously, in 2019. Even with all of these deaths and people not being able to take their monthly benefit that they'd paid in throughout their life, it is likely that for 2022, when we look at 2021, right, because there's a carryover, that 2022 will also lose and not have enough money to cover what's required for the Social Security benefits for your retirement and disability from those two trust funds. I don't want to scare everybody with this. I just want you to be aware of it. I know that there's a lot of other, YouTube channels with 100,000, 200,000, whatever viewers, and they talk about all these benefits that are coming your way, and wow, so exciting. But then it turns out that's not actually true, and then you're like, and they just kind of feed the depression. I need you to be understanding of something that is a real problem that has to be dealt with no matter what. So they have this Social Security 2100 Act. They have not come out with the new updated version because they're waiting for October to come out. Steve Goss and things like that for the actuaries to look at it and figure out what kind of money they need. The original system they had to, charge the super wealthy a significant amount for Social Security benefits in the retirement, to basically charge them a lot of a percentage on money that they earn over a certain amount. That plan, while it was good originally, will no longer work going forward. They need to either up the amount that people pay in taxes for it and the rich, or they need to find some other way to bring funds into this system. It is not a horrifically ridiculous amount of money when you consider how much they've been spending left and right. We've spent 11 trillion, more than that, more than that now. And they really only need about 2 trillion a year to do this. And we make as a country around 20 trillion a year. And in the 80s, when one of the trust funds ran out before, specifically the retirement trust fund ran out in the 80s, they were able to borrow funds and then pay back those funds with interest in just 4 years. This means that the politicians, and it's not even the current generation of politicians, it's the politicians that put me into student loan slavery. It's the politicians that just, let's call it like it is. It's these old, classic, it's the old guys that were in it, it's just the same thing over and over. But they basically did not properly set us up for investment so that more and more funds would be put into the Social Security trust fund accounts. And now we're facing a horrible, dire situation. So what has to happen? Well, blaming the past isn't going to do anything because all those politicians have retired at this point. So now going forward, what do we do? Well, not all of them. Like we still have, some of them that have been in there for 40 years, 30 years, whatever. But the point is, what do we do now? We have to figure out a way to get more, get another $1 trillion basically pumped into these trust fund accounts and split it. We can split it, 50-50, whatever, and that would carry it for a while. That's not going to fix this in the long term, but it's going to carry us for a little while. So that is around how much we would need just to begin with to get the thing being solvent, at least through the 2020 eras. All right, we're in 2021, take us through 2029 into 2030. People think that when it runs out, they will not be able to get any money out of their retirement check, like their monthly check would just end. That's not accurate. If it ran low, they have 3 distinct ways that they measure it. They measure the likelihood of high expenditure, medium expenditure, and low expenditure. Now, if they're low expenditure, right, the trust funds are supposed to last until like 2100. Everything's cool. If it's medium, it was supposed to be, around essentially the latter 2030s. High, it was the early 2030s. Here's the problem now. It's extremely high because of COVID, and there's not lots of people working, paying in taxes to pay for these trust fund accounts, such as retirement and disability insurance, those 2 trust fund accounts. So what that means is that, unfortunately now, we need a totally new plan to fund these programs. And remember, it's not just your benefits. It's also the administration, the millions upon millions and millions of dollars it takes a year to run the Social Security Administration, run parts of the IRS, that will interact with the Social Security Administration to make these benefits flow. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer about this. I am trying to help you guys out and understand that all this free benefit talk, it gets subscribers. I get that. It gets a lot of people excited. I get that. That's, I haven't been doing tons of those videos because they're all shenanigans and Pop-Tarts. The truth is, the main issue is that the Social Security, retirement, and the SSDI trust fund are running extremely low. All right, let me check some of the questions and I'll take the calls. I have a question. I'm on SSDI and have been since 2011. I'm now finding myself needing extra cash for bills. I was deemed completely disabled. Am I able to work at all? By the way, I love your YouTube channel. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So here's the thing. Yeah, you can totally go ahead and work and use up your 9 months of trial work period. And then if you want to keep working after that and keep your benefits, you can enter into what's called a ticket to work program. A lot of people have been wanting me to do a video on a ticket to work program. I've been waiting for somebody to send me a current contract that they had to sign to go onto the ticket to work program. Nobody has sent me one. I haven't really been asking either, but if you are on a ticket to work program, if you have a more recent contract, send it to me. They change them every year. Not a lot, but they change them a little bit every year. Send me a current one and I'll do a video on the ticket to work program. You can earn up to basically $1,310, but once you earn over that, you're going to violate SGA, which means that you won't be eligible for disability benefits anymore. So here's the thing. You can earn a very small amount. Like if you're just looking for $300, you're looking for $600, even $900, that's cool. But the closer you get to that SGA amount, the more likely you are to trigger what's called a CDR, which is that continuing disability review, which is where they use an 8-step sequential elemental process to adjudicate whether or not you're still disabled under the rules and regulations. Okay. Yeah, I know. I saw the raise Congress got, and now they're on a big vacation. I know, guys. And you know what bugs me about this is that, like, I'm a guy who I sat there the other day and wrote a new version of the SSI Restoration Act because, I couldn't sleep. And I just couldn't sleep. And, what's weird? What's weird is that these politicians, the House reps, the senators, their main job is to bail out the agencies. I realize that, right? I realize that their main job when they're sitting there is to bail out the things that the agencies can't fix themselves. The agencies can't create law. So when it comes to an agency, like noticing that there's a problem isn't getting fixed. Problem's having more issues. Oh my goodness, there's a problem. What are we going to do? Right? It's the legislature that's supposed to come together and fix this stuff for these agencies. I know you'd argue, and you'd be correct, that they're actually there for the people. But let's be honest here. Let's be honest. They're really making these things for the agencies because those are the programs set up to help, guide, support the people, and they're just going to fund and assist those agencies. So here's the thing. Essentially, you would expect that these congressional leaders would once a month be coming out with a new law, would once a month be coming out with a modified version of the law that they were working on. You would expect that these bills that they're creating, these House reps and these senators, would every month be coming out with a new something, but they don't. In fact, the only ones that are really coming out with a lot right now are these young freshman House, and senators that are, it's not really so much the senators, but they're pumping these new ideas out. And they're doing that because they're creating unrealistic bills that make them look good. It's a tactic. It's an interesting one. So anyways, let me answer another question real quick. As always, I do absolutely appreciate the phone. Excellent. Will you explain the self-care question, cooking, cleaning, washing, etc.? So I'm going to do like 2 more questions, then I'll go to the phone. So for those people, I missed 12 calls. I'll go back to those. I'm going to do 2 more of these. Will you explain the self-care question, cooking, cleaning, washing? All right. So here's the bottom line. There is a problem with the way our court system works for disability benefits. Judges become accustomed to hearing, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that. When a judge hears, oh, I could do some cleaning, Or the judge asks, do you have any difficulty with like cooking, cleaning, laundry, anything at all? And the person's like, nah, I'm okay. Boom. Bullet point, option for denial. So the problem is, while most disabled individuals can still do some form of cooking, some form of cleaning, some form of laundry, buying groceries, if you say that you can, it appears in the modern day disability process that the judges will use that in their way to say, well, you can do this, therefore, hey, you're probably not impaired because you have the capacity to do these at-home functions. You have to be detail-oriented. If you're talking about difficulty with cleaning and you're not bringing up the tools that you used to be able to use and the unique things with your house that make it tough for you to clean, then you're not winning points. If you're talking about cooking and your inability to cook, and you're not talking about specific foods you used to love, specific foods that used to be tough for you that you can't try, specific foods that used to be easy for you that you can't even do now, if you're not going into specifics, you are losing points with that judge. Okay? Washing. That's not just your house, spraying down the plants outside. That's getting ready and hygiene-related functions. Hygiene-related functions in the hearing are incredibly important. Let's go through some of the basics here. You need to be able to talk about, number one, being able to take a shower, being able to take a bath, being able to brush your teeth, being able to brush your hair, being able to shave. Obviously for women, that's legs, etc. For men, it's the beard, things like that. Talking about essentially ability to go ahead and do different functions that you used to be able to do, how you used to style your hair. Make it unique about your story. So many of my claimants, I'll get them good. I'll get them to the point where they can give decent answers. But there's not enough time to get them to the point where they can answer with custom things. Now, obviously, a lot of people, I can't remember. But when you go over something 6 times, usually you can remember what to do with it. So it is extremely important to make yourself unique to these administrative law judges. And let me explain why. At the end of the day, those judges, whether they talk to the court clerk that's typing or they talk to the vocational expert, if they're not at the end of the day, at the end of those hearings, saying, oh, the dog case, or oh, the Mediterranean cooking case. Oh, the guy who has the way he cleans with the pressure washer, but, it's weird, that. If you don't have something unique in there where they can remember the specifics of your claim, then you have not gotten past the wall in their brain of constant hearings that are all the same thing that they hear over and over. That's a problem. All right, next question. Let's see what's going on. The whole thing just flickered. Let me see. Is it too late to file if LDI is of DLI is 12/31/2021? So your DLI is your date last insured. You can file, and I will get this phone call shortly. I see the person calling. I will get it. You can file for your date last insured even after your date last insured has run. But you have to prove 17 months after that point. That's like the full extent. Maybe you can get a non-mechanical application where you can stretch it a little bit, maybe to like 20 months or 24 months if you have a very liberal judge. But you can file for SSDI benefits after your DLI. So you could file in 2022 for basically 2021, 12/31/2021 DLI. But you have to be able to prove medical documentation supporting administrative, penal, etc. documentation that you were disabled before 12/31/2021. All right, guys, let's take some phone calls. I've missed so many. I'm just going to start from the bottom and work my way up. And then we'll go ahead and go through this. Here we go. 1 second. And here we go. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. We're going to call this first person. You guys know how this works. We call somebody, we put it on speakerphone, we do a question or we do hearing questions, and then we go from there. All right, so let's see if we can get a hold of this person. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. Would you like me to go ahead and run a specific question with you or run hearing questions? And remember to use a fake name throughout this process and to mute your computer in the background. We can get rolling. Howdy, Attorney Walter Knott. How can I help you?
Hi, my name is Cece, and I have a meeting next month with the president of an excess carrier.
Sure.
I'm a little nervous about what that means. I do not want to ever settle but it's looking like I'm being groomed to do so.
Is this like workers' comp?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I don't traditionally do workers' comp, but give me a little bit of the background, and then maybe I can give you some walkthrough as to things you can do.
Okay. I was injured in 2010, several attempts to go to work. There was a delay in care, and in 2013, I had a 2-level T-lift. Now, currently, failed back syndrome, major depression, neurostimulator, radiculopathy, pain management, and a shrink.
Okay.
So, I have the president of one of these excess carriers who wants to meet with me.
Mm-hmm.
And my lawyer seems to be all for it, but I think she wants to retire. So I'm wanting to know, should they be on the same side of the room?
Well,
Because
no,
they
they're never really on your attorney is always to back you no matter what, even though it can feel like sometimes they have a different agenda. Give us a little bit of some of the questions that you're worried about. What are some of the questions that you think you might be dealing with? What are some of the questions that your attorney told you you might be interacting with?
Well, she actually told me I wouldn't have to communicate with him at all. I'd communicate with her, and she would communicate with him. Apparently, there's supposed to be an offer on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So how will this affect my Social Security?
Well, it depends on whether or not, and remember, this all comes down to contracts as to, essentially, we're talking about a workers' comp settlement situation, right?
Correct.
Okay. So have you seen any of the template? Okay. Did your attorney say that, it's like a standardized contract, or are there any special provisions that your attorney talked about ahead of time? Because what this comes down to is whether or not for Social Security benefits, this will be a tax, or rather a countable income or an uncountable income. So walk me through anything unique that I need to know before we go into settlement.
Well, I was a high-income worker. So I made max on Social Security and max on workman's comp.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I don't know.
Okay, so this is all like super early stuff. You're just not sure where to go with it kind of deal.
Yeah, this meeting was set 24 hours ago.
Okay.
And I looked up this fella and am kind of getting the gist of, I don't know, narcissist. And, I mean, he calls us old dogs right there on the internet. Like as if no one's smart enough to look up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
All right. So usually workers' comp is like a countable income option that'll count against you. So it might hurt you for a month if you were to get a settlement because I'm assuming you're SSDI, right? Because you were a high income. Yeah. So you're SSDI. What's your current age?
53.
All right. So you're an SSDI under 55 category. Bottom line is it's probably going to hurt you for 1 month where you'll be ineligible because it'll probably be a significant. I mean, if you're high, and you don't have to be a perfect number, but what's an example of what you were earning in one of your bigger years?
Oh, 80.
Okay, 80 grand. All right. So kind of the bottom line is this. At the end of the day, that will probably hurt you for a month. But beyond that, it's probably not going to have any effect on you because then it will transfer into a resource so long as you set it up as a one-time payment gig. But if you're setting it up as like a monthly gig, then it could be hurting your SGA limitations for SSDI, which is why you kind of want to be looking into options for essentially a one-time package settlement deal. And were they talking about numbers? I'm sure your attorney gave you like some figures that they were looking at, right, for a settlement?
She will never, ever give me any numbers. She hasn't given me a number in 11 years. At all. Nothing. She refuses.
Well, we don't have much to go on with this back pattern. So, okay.
I know. That's why I'm wondering. I mean, is she with me or is she not with me?
I don't know. I don't know the attorney. I don't know the setup. I don't know the contract that you're looking at potentially signing. If she says that you're going to be meeting with this person, they probably have met many times before. She probably knows the terms. She probably knows the things to watch out for. Why don't you go and ask that attorney for a sample of essentially the contracts that have been signed for the settlements that were used on prior claims with that particular person, and have them just wipe out the names and the socials and the private information. And that way you can read that and have a better idea as to what you're kind of getting into.
Okay. I'll see what I can drag out of her.
All right. Sounds good. I mean, I'd like to help you more. It just like,
I know.
you're
I
at
know.
like the, yeah. Yeah. It's the most basic, like, workers' comp. Like, I have a settlement potential coming up. What's going to happen? I don't, like, you were working 80, earning 80 grand. You were injured. This has been going on forever. I don't know. I don't know. I've seen tri-state contracts. So are you Florida? Which state are you in?
Louisiana.
Okay, so I haven't seen a Louisiana, but I have seen weird contracts in workers' comp that will not affect disability benefits, or will, in some weird way, wreck them completely. Which is why whenever I see workers' comp stuff, I always ask, like, is this some old weird program from the tri-state area? Is this not? Because a lot of the stuff from that tri-state area, or just the general Northeast area, it's just weird. But you're in Louisiana, you should be okay. It's probably standardized federal at this point. A lot of the state stuff has been set up to interact with it and interact with the federal programs. But just go get a template of that contract and review it. And if your attorney can't give you one, then it means one of two things. A, either that attorney hasn't interacted much with this person. B, she's unwilling to give you one. Or C, she doesn't want to take the time to remove the private information from it.
Okay.
All right. Madam, I will.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. All the best. And join us next week if you do get the contract. I'll take a quick look at it as we're kind of doing the live thing.
Oh, great. Thank you.
You got it. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
You too now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Please remember to use a fake name. And would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and run a hearing question with you?
Do the question with me, please, and hello.
Howdy, madam. So walk me through what's going on.
I wanted you to ask me a question, interview question.
Oh, you want me
you to ask the question.
Okay, no problem. You want me to run some hearing questions with you?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm working on a new program that is even more aggressive than what I've been using before, because that's what I do. I come up with something and then I make it better until it's basically too impossible to learn. But then we figure out a way to make it better. How aggressive do you want me to be with you?
As aggressive as you feel they will be at my hearing.
What's your percent passage rate of your judge?
I looked it up. It's 54%.
All right, so it's going to be more of a relaxed hearing. All right, so let's go through it. I'm not going to be super aggressive with you. I will ask you. I'm going to jump around a lot, so I'm not going to follow the traditional method that we use in law, which is, having an introductory question and then going into further questions that develop it. I'm just going to jump around to see how you do. Go ahead and state your fake name for the record.
BB.
Okay, I'm going to assume we don't need to know your social. We don't need to know your date of birth. How old are you currently?
I'm 58. I'll be 59 in October, and my hearing is in November.
Excellent. What are your top 5 most severe impairments?
I was a special education teacher, and some of the duties I had were to go to the general education classroom, which involved a lot of walking. And because I'm a type 1 diabetic, I have neuropathy, and that wreaked havoc on me, having to walk around to all of the different buildings and classrooms to assist them. I also had to carry all of my materials with me, and with the neuropathy in my hands, it has come to the point now to where I can hardly lift that gallon of milk or a cast iron skillet. And so I got a buggy to take my materials with me, but I've had a fusion of my C2, C3 vertebra, and so pulling it really caused a havoc on my neck. And I also have asthma, so all of that walking caused me to be short-winded, and I coughed a lot. But nonetheless, when I got in the classrooms, I had to do a lot of standing and moving about to assist the students. And because of my type 1 diabetes, I use the restroom a lot. So I'm in and out of the classroom, and it caused a lot of distractions. And when I got back in to try to help the students, they had gone ahead with the lesson. And so it was like I was lagging behind. I also had to help assist those in wheelchairs if they needed help to get to their classes on time. And so with that, I had to do a lot of computer work and a lot of reading. And my eye doctor had stated, I told him, sometimes it seems like I'm looking through water. My vision gets bad. And he said that it's because of my high blood sugar. And so I have to do a lot of work on the computer, a lot of writing, a lot of reading. And with my hands and the typing, it really became a really big problem for me. And then not only that, I am supposed to be the one to be responsible for the management of my classroom. But when my blood sugar would drop, my students would have to go next door and get a teacher or get the principal to come help me. And that was so embarrassing. And then they said that I started being mean. Not that I tried to be mean, but my anxiety level just kind of rose more. And then working with other teachers and collaborating with them and those outside, it just became too much. And so I had to stop teaching after 30 years.
So you worked for 30 years, special education. Number one most important impairment that's at the top of the list of the most severe is neuropathy. Is that correct?
It's type 1 diabetes with neuropathy, depression, and anxiety.
Depression, anxiety. Okay, perfect. So when you hear that question, you were able to nail it that second time. Depression, anxiety, neuropathy, diabetes. Can you tell me which is the most severe out of all of them?
I'm sorry?
Which is the most severe out of all of them?
My type 1 diabetes.
Okay, so specifically, essentially, we'll go through the diabetes, we'll go through the neurological. Do you know what the Blue Book resources are specifically for those numbers for those impairments?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to teach you how to look them up. Now, we can do this live. Do you have access to the internet right now so that you can kind of Google with me so that I can teach you and then teach other people as they're doing it?
I do. I am.
Okay, cool. So what I'd like you to do is let's do the easy ones, because they're part of the same category and you'll see them. What I want you to do is I want you to type into Google disability listing for depression. Okay, disability listing for depression. I'll do it with you. We're going to end up at 12.04, but I'll do it with you.
Okay.
I see somebody in the channel said, show them the Blue Book. These listings are considered the Blue Book. They are not the de facto bottom line thing that the judges consider with everything in mind to find somebody disabled, but they are a strong portion of what's considered the element 3 of the 5-step sequential process, which are the 5 elements that define essentially disability benefits. So now, it should have popped up, disability listing for depression. It should have popped up 12.0 mental disorders adult. Do you see that link there from ssa.gov?
I see 12.04.
Perfect. All right, so you clicked ahead a little bit. In 12.04, what is the big bold section of 12.04? Should say depressive, bipolar, and related disorders. What do you see?
Depressive, bipolar related disorders.
Perfect. Excellent. Excellent. Walk me through over here. You see part A, right? What does part A say?
Depressive disorder characterized by 5 or more of the following.
Okay, good. What does that mean when you see 5 or more of the following? What do you need from that little bullet point list there? How many do you need to meet of those listed there?
5 or more.
Excellent. Can you tell me how many are actually there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Perfect. Very good. So if you've got to get 5 out of 9, right? That's a lot. Would you say that's a lot?
Yes.
Can you read to me what those bullet points are that you need to get 5 out of 9 of?
Give you the 4 that I have, or just 4 from this listing?
Just actually go ahead and read for me all 9 of them, and then we're going to go into the specific ones for you. Yeah.
Depressed mood, diminished interest in almost all activities, appetite disturbance with change in weight, sleep disturbance, observable psychomotor agitation or retardation, decreased energy, feelings of guilt or worthlessness, difficulty concentrating or thinking, or thoughts of death or suicide.
Okay. Can you tell me, with those, how you said you have 4 of those, right, that you meet, or do you meet more of those?
No, I was asking, you said 5 of those. I have the majority of them.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? You've just read all 9 of those. Depressed mood, diminished interest, appetite disturbance, sleep disturbance, observable motor, psychomotor, decreased energy, feeling of guilt, difficulty concentrating, thoughts of death or suicide. Can you now tell me each one of those 9, but instead of reading it, can you tell me your way of saying it in 3 words or less for each one of those, A through I? But in your words, go ahead.
I'm tired all of the time. I feel like now my life is worthless because I'm not able to do what I went to college to do. I'm depressed a lot. I've gained weight. I don't sleep that often.
Observable psychomotor agitation is like where your body part is just moving without you really being aware of it, like the tapping of the knee, the flickering of the hand, etc. So do you have any of those?
It's recently started doing that.
Gotcha.
And I'm wondering if it's from one of the medicines that I take.
Gotcha. What about decreased energy? Tell me about that one.
I'm just tired all of the time because my blood sugar fluctuates from high to low. I'm just tired all of the time. And at night, I have to set an alarm to wake me up because it bottoms out a lot at night. And so we're working on different regimens trying to regulate that. And when it bottoms out, I can't do anything the next day. I just have to give my body time to bring it back to level.
Now, talk to me about the next one, G category of the 9, feelings of guilt or worthlessness. Does that affect you?
Yes, it does. I've gone to college. I've done all of that. I feel I should do to be a productive citizen in society. And I've raised my children to do the same. And I had high aspirations of teaching at the next level. And now I'm not able to do that. And I have to have my kids and family to come and help me. That makes me feel worthless.
Okay. Talk to me about difficulty concentrating or thinking. What happens? How are you not able to access information that you know, or be able to learn new information that you come into contact with?
When my blood sugar is really bothering me, my students would tell me, Ms. Lewis, we've gone over that one. Or they tell me something that we've already done that I've done before. And just concentrating and staying focused became a big problem for me.
Okay. Thoughts of death or suicide. Do you have suicidal ideation?
No, I don't have suicidal, but I just wonder what am I going to do with my life?
I understand. It's tough. I want to explain to people one thing that is extremely difficult. When you work in an industry, you define yourself after 30 years as that person. A lot of people, when they hear somebody say like attorney Walter Knott, the assumption is that after 30 years, I would like to define myself as an attorney. That's actually not the truth. I don't want to be 30 years from now somebody who defines myself as an attorney. I want to be somebody who defines myself as somebody who maybe fights for the rights of animals, fights for the rights of future humans in space. Similarly with you, you've spent 30 years probably in a field that you absolutely loved and adored. So to be called teacher or professor to you it's what you are. At the deepest bare levels of your skin, you are de facto a giver to students. And if you take away the fancy blazer and you take away the fancy shoes and you go past everything that they see about you, when they see you, they know that you love teaching kids. Go to the heart, it's there. Go to the lungs, you breathe, you live for these kids. Go to the mind. The mind is sparking with energy to show a new kid that's struggling how to do well, and that's incredibly good. So what I wanted to show to these people is that when somebody after 30 years has a disconnect with who they are, the thing that they have written on their skin, on their face, I am a teacher, I am an educator, it is usually a crisis of occupation. And it can cause extreme depression. Now, may I ask you a tough question? Have you shared specifically these things or just some of them with your doctor?
Yes, and my doctor has approved me wrote me a letter for disability. I have a lawyer, and he has all of that. But my doctor tried to get me to stop working because of my physical limitations. Before I did, I just kept going, hoping and praying it would get all right, but it never did.
So let me ask you this. Have you looked at the medical documentation and seen that they've notated at least 5 of these categories on that diagnostic impression workup?
Yes.
Excellent. So that's very good because a lot of people haven't, and then they're missing some that they need to be able to meet this listing. Now, we're going to skip, instead of doing Part B and Part C and things like that, you also said anxiety. Can you go ahead and scroll down for me to 12.06, and can you read for me Part A? What does A require?
I didn't get the 12.06 on my page.
Sure. Do you have like a list where you can see 12.05, 12.06, 12.07?
No.
All right, then I'm going to read these to you. Anxiety disorder characterized by 3 or more of the following. So you've got to have 3 of the following. Looks like 6, right? So restless, easily fatigued, difficulty concentrating, irritability, muscle tension, or sleep disturbance. Tell me, in your words, are you restless?
Yes.
Tell me about how you're restless.
Well, I believe when I begin to think about my future and that it's really not one, that causes me to have a lot of anxiety. I don't sleep that well. I may get about 4 hours worth of sleep in a day's time, and that makes me feel tired within itself.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about basically irritability. Are you easily angered by things?
They say I am. I don't think I am, but my family says I am.
Okay.
I don't try to be.
I got you. So basically, you've got to be able to meet these bullet points. We could do another one, 11 point, I think it's 14. But let's check out. If we search peripheral neuropathy, characterized by A or B, I'll just read A. Disorganization of motor function in 2 extremities, resulting in extreme limitation in the ability to stand up from a seated position, balance while standing or walking, or use the upper extremities. So do you have difficulty with walking, standing, sitting, getting up from a chair, etc.?
I do, and my foot doctor has me on gabapentin, and I have to be careful when I get up because it's one of my medicines that causes me to be a little dizzy when I get up from the sitting position, and I can't stand for very long. I had to do it 6 to 7 hours when I taught, but here at home, I'll have to get up and move about for my circulation in my feet. And I can stand for a little while, but not long before they start hurting and burning.
Okay. So now here's the thing. Do you have prescribed to you a walker, a crutch, a cane, special shoes, a rollator, anything at all?
I have special shoes, but then I have the pool in the bathroom to help me with bathing and pulling up from the tub and from the toilet.
And why don't you have prescribed to you a walker or maybe a walker with a seat?
I've just never been prescribed one. I guess my pride, I've tried to do it on my own. I'll hold on to things here at home if I need to
Do you live in
when
a,
I walk.
yeah. Do you live in a 2-story or a single-story home?
2-story.
And is the bedroom on the second floor?
I have bedrooms on both floors.
Okay. Is the kitchen on the first or the second floor?
Kitchen is on the first floor.
Okay. And where's the bathroom located?
I have two on the first floor.
Okay. So tell me this. Do you ever have to use the stairs in the house?
Well, I was until I was going down them and I missed the bottom two and fell and hurt my leg.
Okay.
So my daughter, she doesn't want me to do it unless she's here.
Understood. Do you have any difficulty with cooking, cleaning, or doing the laundry?
I can't do the things that I used to do. I used to cook all of the time, and I love to cook, but I just can't handle those skillets and big boilers and cut things like how I used to. With my cleaning, I love to mop. I was actually a little OCD in mopping and vacuuming, but that vacuum is so heavy, and I can't pull it like how I used to do.
And let me ask you this. When it comes to driving to get the groceries, are you able to load and unload the groceries?
My sons, they bring them in for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And when it comes to...
I just get me in my purse.
Okay. When did the depression start and when did it become severe?
I'd say my depression began maybe about 2 years ago, and it's really gotten bad. I see a psychiatrist, and he recommends medicine for me, and he's setting me up for therapy sessions.
Okay. And help me out with this. With the depression, when did you stop working versus when did it become severe?
I stopped working and teaching in May of 2020, and it started getting severe the year before I stopped teaching.
Okay. And can you tell me this? When was the last time that you were hospitalized for an extended stay at a mental facility for more than 3 days?
I've never been to one.
Okay. And so you've never been to a mental facility for 1 day or any days, or it's just been for a psychological psychiatrist, psychologist, or therapist-based review?
I've just had a Zoom visit with a psychiatrist.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this. When it comes to the neuropathy that you're experiencing, when was the last time that you fell down due to the neuropathy?
That was about 2 years ago when I fell down the stairs.
So you would be able to still have most faculties with walking, correct? You can still walk?
I can still walk, yes.
How far can you walk?
Well, my doctor wants me to try to walk, to exercise. They say it will help with my blood sugar. And when I try to go for a walk, and about 5 to 7 minutes into my walk, my feet really begin to hurt a lot. And because I have asthma, my chest tight and I start wheezing. So I have to be real careful with that. I had stopped one day in my neighborhood and the police gave me a ride back home.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Have you been to the emergency room over the past year due to issues with the neuropathy?
No, I go to my foot doctor whenever I have a problem. I go to him, and he's increased my gabapentin, and that has seemed to help me some.
So let me ask you this. It sounds like you've got medication, you've got basic things set up, orthopedic devices, and that you've kind of stabilized at this point, correct?
Yes.
So would you be able to do, for example, like a sit at the computer job?
Oh, no.
Why not?
I can't do that, and I can't do that because I can't just sit. I have to get up and move around so that I can have circulation in my legs and feet. And then that computer with my vision is like I'm looking through water a lot, and my eye doctor says it's because of my high blood sugar. And then when I was doing all of the typing with my neuropathy, my hands would swell.
So let me understand this. If you had, to sit there for an 8-hour workday with regular breaks, could you tell me, what would be the hardest part of doing a data entry job?
The sitting would be a hard part. I go to the restroom, it seems like every 30 minutes. I have frequent urination. I have to check my blood sugar 6 times a day. My daughter wants me to get that thing that you run your phone over so that I can stop preaching. And I have to do my breathing treatment 3 to 4 times a day. But I have to rest, I have to stand, I have to sit. And it's just a lot involved. It's just a struggle. It's a daily struggle.
Now, obviously, you're not working right now. I'm sure, other family members are supporting you, and I understand that. Are any local religious institutions helping you in any way?
No.
Okay. When was the last time that you went out of the house for something other than, going to the doctor or getting food?
I don't.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you've obviously
Unless it's outside to sit on the porch.
You've got some training. So have you been watching the videos?
I have.
Okay. That was the cutest way you could. I have. That was great. You did very well. I caught you in a few little things, but you recovered with the follow-up questions. So you did very well. The main weakness to this claim is stabilized medication and orthopedic devices for basically the limitations of physical movement for the neuropathy. And then when it comes to the anxiety and depression, they're not going to take them very seriously because you've never had an interaction with a mental hospital, a sanatorium, anything like that. There's never been an emergency situation. And because of that, they're not going to be looking at listing level for those particular types. They'll be looking at, okay, mild to moderate, but it's obviously not going to rise to the level of emergency treatment of the severe, marked, or extreme. And so they're going to try and beat you up on the mental aspects because there's never been a check-in with one of these mental hospitals. When it comes to the physical aspects pertaining to the neuropathy and limitations of movement, I do query, if you have not been prescribed, and have you been prescribed a cane? I didn't ask that.
I'm sorry, have I been prescribed what?
A cane?
No.
Okay. Have you been prescribed anything that holds you up?
No.
What do you think the judge is thinking when you go in there and say, I can't stand or walk, I have difficulty standing, and it's been 2 years to a year, or whatever it was. I think it was 2 years since I basically fell.
Well, he won't have to do that because in the morning I'll call my doctor about getting some sort of assisted device.
Very good. You are on top of this. This is good. Excellent, excellent. Remember, get a copy of the attorney's brief for your hearing a week before the actual hearing. So get a copy of the brief a week before. And remember, run questions with the attorney at least twice before you go into that hearing. You have to get used to their voice. You have to get used to the swing of how they ask questions. You have to get used to what categories they ask you and specifically how they kind of interlink together. You can have testimony that's really, really good, but if the person doesn't know where the attorney is going with this or what tough questions they're likely to ask, then you're going to run into a problem. The big thing I'd like you to focus on is having very good answers for household activities, limited hobbies, and limited outside activities when it comes to religion or interacting with others. You've got to be really good at explaining what you used to be able to do and why you can no longer do that. Whether you gave up club card, stuff where you were part of a club membership, or whether or not you used to have some sort of like special position in a church or synagogue or whatever religion. Make sure that you prepare yourself to answer in detail why you no longer can do these outside activities. Perfect. Madame, do you have any additional questions for me before I pop over to the next caller?
I did. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but how do you explain daily act? Like, what's a day like for you?
So this is one of the toughest questions, and I've lost quite a few claims off of this question, which is why I spent so much time training people specifically how to attach to it and attack it. Daily activities are broken down to basically 4 groups, or you can think of it as 5 groups too, but well, let's do the bigger one. The intro, when you wake up, those fall into hygiene related functions, basically getting dressed, getting ready, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, etc. Then you go to the morning activities. Morning activities are things like, you're doing a little bit of cooking for breakfast. You maybe have to do some basic setup stuff around the house to fix stuff, maybe feed a dog, maybe feed a cat, and you have to go ahead and make some basic phone calls. We get to the middle of the day. That's your lunchtime, having a lunchtime routine. Where do you go? What do you do? Do you always eat out? Do you stay in? What do you normally make? Are you cleaning the house? Then we get to more of the nighttime spiel. That's cooking for more complex dinners, more complex food. That's laundry time, stuff like that. And then we get to the outro, which is basically where you're sleeping. And so the main categories of things that you have to consider while you're looking at your daily schedule are hobbies, cooking, cleaning, laundry, driving, transportation in general, buying groceries, transporting groceries, removing groceries, like moving them from the house to, basically your car or car to house, or rather your car to the house. And then also some of the basic things that are upkeep of the house. Are you doing any painting? Are you doing any repairs? Are you doing any upkeep outside of the house, such as like gardening, hedging, weed whacking, etc.? Knowing each one of these categories and having a good reason why you have difficulty with them is absolutely crucial.
Okay. So when it comes to each one, I need to explain what in that is difficult for me.
Exactly. And that's the tricky thing about this program that I wish wouldn't be this way, but the judge always has people showing up going, I can't do that. Do you have any difficulty with cooking? Yeah, I can't do cooking. Well, why can't you? I can't read the instructions. I can't follow written instructions. If somebody tells me how to do it, I can't do oral. I leave doors open. I leave things on. I forget to finish them. They often get burnt and stay in the oven. I could burn down the house. I'm afraid to use the water. I'm afraid to heat the water. I'm afraid that I'll get cut. All these things need to tie into something unique about you. I used to make the best Italian dinner. I used to make the best Cajun dinner. I used to make the best whatever. You have to be able to make the story.
Macaroni and cheese and collard greens and fried chicken.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the best food on earth. But yes, that is, I mean, let's call it like it is. I mean, if we had the option of that. So, yes, I totally agree with you. But if you know what you used to make those special ingredients that you used to throw in that would make them just that little bit better, that would bring pride to feeding your family, incorporate those. A, the judge might learn something. B, the judge is going to remember it. And C, the judge is going to see the decline better from up here down to I can no longer do it down here. Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. I'm glad I caught a chat. I've watched your videos. You have helped me tremendously. And when I go in on the 30th to do my first practice set of questions with my lawyer, I'm going to tell him we need to take a little bit of his pee to send to you.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. He's going to hate me. I would just, he could take his fee. God, you're going to get me shot. I don't need that. I appreciate it. I do. But that's like when people tell me, yeah, Walter, run for president. I'm like, no. And when people are like, God, how could Biden do this or that? I'm sitting back going, this guy took over like a pandemic. You couldn't sell being the president to me. I don't want it. I want to point out something here too. A lot of people, there's 2 types of people. There's a lot of people that want to like take over the world for the rest of their life. They can never stop working. They got to constantly work. I don't want that. I want to literally, I want to go from law firm owner to nonprofit owner to advocate on behalf of animal rights to literally beach bum. I want my business card to say beach bum on it. That is a goal.
So Walter, my age, I'll be 59 when I go. How will my age and my education affect me in getting SSDI?
You're most likely going to be a grid out potential where they're going to be looking at sedentary based jobs in the vocational hypothetical proffered to the vocational expert. And what will happen is they'll be like, hey, look, can she do standing work? Can she do light work? Can she do sedentary work? And they'll be looking at all of these, but what mostly will happen to you is that you will grid out so long as you don't have transferable skills that are usable to alternative jobs in the national economy when they go to what's called the Dictionary of Occupational Titles. And inside the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, there's every job that's ever existed. Well, all the old jobs from the early 90s back. They don't have internet jobs and stuff like that in there. And as a result of that, what that kind of equates to is you've got to be able to show why sitting and standing are extremely difficult for you, why you have to change, and you've got to change positions in your chair. The neuropathy affects specifically your hips, etc. You get swelling in your ankles, you get swelling in your hands, and you've got to be able to show why you should be a grid out person, which is a person who can't meet the sedentary or light-based work categories. And so long as you can do that, very likely during the vocational expert portion of the hearing, the judge will look to the attorney and say, well, it looks like a potential for a grid out based on age details. I see the education. Are there transferable skills? The judge will look to the vocational expert. Are there transferable skills? Vocational expert will go, yeah, maybe yes, maybe not. They'll proffer 3 jobs. They'll go through a hypothetical. But the whole thing here is element 4 and element 5. You don't really need to worry about element 4 doing your past work because you can't do it. Otherwise, you'd still be doing it. It's about element 5. Can you do relevant, transferable, skilled work, right? Skilled work or semi-skilled work that comes from transferred skills from the old teaching job you used to have. And element 5, the real cleaver, is essentially unskilled work. Is there any job in the national economy that you could do it full time that is unskilled work? And if you could, then you're not disabled. But if you can't, remember, you got to show that you can't do 8 hours of work. You got to show that you could only do less than full-time work. Part-time work, acceptable. And that will get you a finding of disability. But anything above part-time work is something that you've got to watch out for that equates to essentially the capability of an unfavorable. And there's 3 types of decisions that you could potentially get that are the most common. Unfavorable, partially favorable, fully favorable. Unfavorable, that means you're not disabled. Partially favorable, that means they're moving your alleged onset date. You said you were disabled 2.5 years ago. They think you were disabled 1.5 years ago. And fully favorable, they believe that from the date that you chose, being your alleged onset date, that you meet the statutory requirements under the Social Security Administration system to be found disabled based on that date. So one thing you always want to ask your attorney before the hearing, what is my alleged onset date? Perfect.
Thank you for helping all of us all around the world.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And all the best with your upcoming hearing. And don't be afraid to give us a call and let us know how it turned out,
I will. And thank you.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
That was excellent, guys. She did an incredibly good job. I'm very, 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 very pleased that we got to go through those details. I'm going to be taking, looks like maybe 1 or 2 more calls. So let's see what's going on. I'm going to pop over here. Let's see what we got here. Hold on. I'm going to, okay, I'm going to call this next person real quick and see. We're just going to keep in mind, there's too many for me to call back, but I'm just going to call them as I go up the list. So here we go. You guys know how this works. I call them, they pick up, we run a question, or we do the other thing, which is running the hearing questions. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knock. Hi, so we are live on YouTube right now. Would you like to ask me a particular question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you? And just remember, use a fake name throughout this because you are now on speakerphone. We're ready to go. How can I help you?
Thank you for taking my call. I have a specific question,
Sure.
and it's a very odd one. I wanted to ask.
Sure.
Okay. I had had a head injury, and so sometimes my recall sucks.
Sure.
I have three redoing this here. So
Sure.
anyway, basically, I had a subarachnoid hemorrhage, an aneurysm,
Okay.
and it resulted in all kinds of surgery and whatnot for emergencies.
Okay.
And it was because of all the kerfluffle, I benefited in that it didn't take much for SSDI to figure out there was something real going on.
Okay.
So they did their thing, and I'm very appreciative of that. But in the meantime, I didn't know, I was kind of in and out of awareness, and my now ex-husband, he found out that Social Security had made a reasonably substantial deposit of whatever was supposed to be the collected fees, I don't know, or collected amounts of deposits that should have taken place from the point that my illness happened. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Kind of.
I don't know how to.
So
I don't know how to identify it. Anyway, so he found out about that money, and I didn't because I wasn't aware of anything. And he ended up spending all of it, pulling it out and just throwing it away.
Who?
And yeah, so now let's say he's my ex-husband.
Oh, okay, the ex-husband.
Very ex. Once I learned, it took me a few years, but I've started unearthing a lot of different things. Wow, I didn't expect that. But anyway, is there any recourse? Is my question. Am I stuck? I'm not stuck. Am I with just the fact that the money came and he was one of the people on my account, and so now it's a done deal. It's a gone deal. Or is it something that I would have to jump through hoops to try and...
So are you claiming that there was a fraudulent withdrawal of fundings by an ex-husband when you were found disabled and you got your back pay?
Yeah, he wrote, yes, there were checks, and he wrote them, and there were signatures. That's how I found out about it. I went to the bank.
And how long ago was this?
That was in 2011.
So why didn't you, make steps to go ahead and file fraudulent charges against him then?
I haven't been able to rub two brain cells together for very long.
Did you have an attorney during the initial filing for benefits?
Nope.
Okay. Are you your own person that receives the funds? There's no payee?
Yep.
Yeah, so you're about 10 years away from when the occurrence happened. You're kind of looking at a statute of limitations problem here because, obviously they would expect you usually to be like, what the hell happened? Call the police. He stole my money, within the first couple of months. So I guess at some point, the husband, maybe he's alive, maybe he's not. It's been so long, but you wouldn't really be able to have a claim against him, unfortunately, to go ahead as a recourse to get those funds back. Because at some point during all of that, you should have been able to say, this is wrong, this is incorrect. And the other problem you have then, too, is that his name was on the account probably just like yours.
I didn't, FYI, I didn't know he was doing this until almost a year later when I went to the bank to get some stuff figured out. It's my brain cells started coming online.
Right.
It was like, oh, wait a minute now. And so I went and pursued some stuff, and that's when I found out what had happened. It was like, oh. So I had no clue that any of it happened.
Until how long ago?
I'm sorry, what?
Until how long ago? Like, when did you find out?
I found out, probably about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I just felt I couldn't do anything. I felt, well, there's nothing you can do. A victim,
Well, how much are we talking about here as a financial amount?
$10,000.
What did he buy with it?
He wrote checks to rumor has it that he wrote checks to a person that if I could denote the the nationality, but I think that might pinpoint it even worse. He wrote a check to a person that he apparently had borrowed money from during the initial portion of my illness.
So like a loan shark.
That was part of my weakness, was that he said that since I wasn't available to help him, he desperately had to run around and find out ways of helping himself. So he was borrowing money, yes, like a loan shark. Yeah, this is who this person was. So then he wrote out checks of like $2,500 to this person over a couple of months. Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I would say to you then is, I mean, you got a statute of limitations problem. It's not like the money went into something that you could get back, like a boat or a car. So it's kind of like that. Yeah, the funds are not recoverable for the most part at this point. But you could always talk with some sort of civil attorney to go ahead and go more deeply into it. But I'm pretty sure you'd be barred from recovery due to the statute of limitations. Yeah.
I was concerned about that. Okay. Well, I really appreciate you answering that question. It's an odd one.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, and I'll catch you later.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So, guys, real quick, I was going to bring Sweetie on board, but she's sleeping on the couch right now. What I'll probably do is make another video with her. She has been eating a lot lately, and she's even bigger than she was before. She's massive. She's adorable. She runs into walls when she runs too fast because she hasn't fully figured out what her body weight is and how to do the whole balance thing. And then she kind of puts wrinkles in the walls because she's such a chubby little piggy dog that I love. But either way, let me go to the next call real quick. Hold on. Let's see what we got here. Okay. And here we go. Let's see what we got here. We're going to call, see if we can get one more phone call in. Then I'm probably going to take a break because I have to start preparing things for tomorrow. But let's see if we can get one more person on the phone. So we'll go one more ring, guys, to see if we can get through. If not, I'll always catch up with this person later down the line. And hi, good sir. Attorney Walter Knott. Can you hear me okay? Excellent, good sir. We are live on YouTube right now. And would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you? And just remember to use your fake name throughout this process. You are now on speakerphone. Good sir, how can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to ask a legal question concerning people with disabilities.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, my question is first I'd like to say I wish you well in these COVID times. I wish you well.
Thank you.
And second, what I'd like to state is the fact that there's a problem going on in Atlanta, Georgia, concerning people with disabilities that are needed protection. And what I mean by that is there's if you're in a certain bracket, live in disability housing, whatnot. There's so much going on concerning housing issues that are being ignored, to me, believe by the city, because there's just so much infighting, so much corruption. What do we do actually for protection when we need, when we're dealing with, say, project managers who might get in disagreements and throw people out and things like that? And by the way, where does our protection come from?
So are these projects for housing where they set you up to go in?
This is brand new housing. I've been living here, been in the nonprofit organization for about 10, living in housing altogether 10 years, but 3 years down the street, 8 years when the one bedrooms got built by the developer by the name of Leonard Adams, who's into community development.
What is the disagreement over?
The disagreement was I had a disagreement with certain people that some of the people inside of the building, oftentimes, everybody's of age. Everybody in the building, there's 28 of us, 12 men, 12 women, mostly older. I'm 50, everybody's older. But the disagreement is that when certain things happen inside the building, when you try to talk to the specific type of, what do you call them again? people were appointed to what do you call them? They're over the land. The landlord. He I can't say it. They take care of the property management.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but and when you have I had a run-in myself, and it's like when you try to talk with them, they say, well, I can put you out of here for this and that. Yeah, I'm looking like, are you crazy? I'm a 10-year resident. You know what I mean?
Right.
I watch all this stuff get built. I watch all these other apartments get built. The landlord that's doing it happens to be the number one developer. And you're telling me you're gonna put me out? This has been, they don't understand. You call it anxiety, which I do have. You cause that among people who are disabled. Some people think they don't care, or they say, well, they're just playing, faking it to make it. But I try to tell people, do you understand how long it took for us to get the things we had to go through to even be classified physically or even psychologically? And I think people think they treat you like I won't say you're not regular, but they treat you like, how can I say it? Like they don't care that you have intellectual impairment or physical disability. Hey, you can do this, you can do that, this and that. Talk to somebody else. If you've got a problem, that's your problem. You need this to be fixed. This can't be fixed. We're taking a long time fixing things. It's really gotten out of hand.
So, okay, let me ask you this. What is the specific issue that you seem to be disagreeing with them over?
Well, the one specific issue that I disagree with is that when you're paying 30% of your income, okay, and getting $7.94 a month, you've been somewhere in an organization that you've seen things come from, just actually built around you. And these people have been this 20 years. Now, you were from a long-term residence review. When you try to talk to someone about Pacific, like the air conditioning unit, nice apartments. These are really nice wood floors. These are beautiful one-bedrooms. But my unit's been out for a whole year and a half, almost 2 years. They have to they're slow at fixing things when things, the building's only 8 years old. But, when they built it in 2013, until things happen. And then another reason, like people going in and out of the building had to put a security guard downstairs because of the older people who have company. I guess they're doing drugs or whatever. So my thing is that it's been going on for years, and it almost feels like there's some more corruptivity at the top because people who do things continuously on a property and property management doesn't want to do it effectively, and they have a problem with there's something going on that that we need to be protected from when it comes to speaking up on things that we see in our building or around us. There's a disconnect.
So what you're looking for is called leverage and federal funding leverage, and specifically who pays them, and contacting that department and getting them to be aware of the limitations that the department has, and if need be, reaching out to the ADA for review recommendation as to how they're handling those actions.
Right. I have their number. I appreciate that because if you think about it in final wording, man, if you think about it, when you're in nonprofit housing, you become a developer. And when you do that, there's all different type of funding coming from different type of ways, whether city, state funding, different type of contracts we sign, our lease agreements. There's contracts, maybe 5 or 6 different contracts that they're doing business with, private funders, private developers. So it's kind of hard when you have complaints because once we put them in, we're so tired because no one's answering. So there's like they're all working in conjunction together because everybody's getting money and getting happy, all people with disabilities. And that's the issue that we're running up against.
Yes, but the people with the disabilities paying the money from the benefits that they're owed have to be happy, which is why at the end of the day, you have a lot of power because the moment you reach out to these groups and explain why you're not happy and how they're not meeting the required, the AC has to be working, the electric has to be, when they're not meeting those goals, it's very easy for them to not continue to pay those groups until they fix the problem and put those groups on a list where they've got to basically fix problems before any other disabled individuals will be paying into their facility.
So so the first people to contact will be ADA?
You could start there. Yeah, you could look at legal aid, ADA, but specifically.
No, I won't deal with them. No legal here in Atlanta. I'll tell you, dealing with legal aid here, I'm telling you.
I know.
It's unbelievable. Sometimes I feel like everybody's in conjunction. But there may be a paranoid thing of mine, but I just feel it.
I hear you. But make a list of all the things you're not happy about. See what the statute, code is specifically for those, like what they have to require by the state federal code, and then basically call people that are in charge of the fund distribution. In your case, that would be, reaching out to a couple of groups, which would be the Fair Housing Act, those overseeing that, the ADA, etc., and they'll be able to go ahead and put leverage and pressure on that facility where you're currently staying.
Right on.
All right.
Alfred, man, I thank you. That was so beautiful, and I thank you again. And I'll text you, and I'll keep in touch with how's it going, because it's it's gonna get pretty heavy, here.
Indeed. That. Yeah. Well, good, sir. I'm gonna pop off tonight. Have a wonderful night, and I'll catch you guys later.
All right. Travel light.
Thank you, good sir. Indeed. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's a phrasing I know, travel light. So with that said, guys, I see there's a bunch of additional questions here. Any advice? My son hasn't gotten tax return or stimulus, and he's verified himself, called tons of times. I'm guessing the IRS and gets nowhere for the 8 months. Basically, he can file a tax return, and basically, it looks like he might have. But at that point, if he's filed it and hasn't gotten the stimulus payments, then maybe he did get them, didn't tell you, or maybe, he should call into the IRS and just sit there with you while they do it to make sure that they have yet to be paid out. They might have already been. I've seen a lot of that. Let's see what else. Any additional questions? He's been taking care of me. Okay, gotcha. Especially the way I understand it. Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so friends will I don't take any medical records for my physical. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. Call in to me next week. The phone number you call into Thursday, and I usually start a little bit late, but it's supposed to be 8 to 10. It's 407-279-1754. It's when I donate 2 hours every week on Thursday to catch up and help people. I'll answer whatever questions I can. I try to answer a couple questions in the chat session. I try to answer a couple questions through the phone system, and I try to give an update as to what's going on in the general economy, especially for disabled and retired individuals and things that they need. I'll catch you a little bit later. I want to thank you so much for having an absolutely wonderful night tonight with this online live chat session. We'll catch you guys later. Thank you so much and have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.